Over the coming 2 weeks, Europe is entering a highly dynamic and impactful weather pattern driven by a powerful interaction between the North Atlantic storm track and entrenched cold air across the eastern half of the continent. Weather models from both the Global Forecast System and the European Center for Medium Range weather forecasts are in strong agreement that this setup will lead to widespread precipitation, significant snowfall in multiple regions, and an elevated risk of disruptive weather through early February. At the large-scale level, the atmosphere across the North Atlantic is extremely active. A deep and powerful low-pressure system with a central pressure near 968 hectopascals is positioned west of Ireland. This system is tapping into a long fetch of Atlantic moisture and directing it straight toward Western Europe. Strong pressure gradients around this low are generating widespread gale force, winds over the open Atlantic, with those winds spreading inland across Ireland, the United Kingdom, and coastal parts of Western Europe. As this system slowly progresses eastward, it continues to act as an engine for repeated waves of rain and mountain snow. At the same time, a strong and stubborn high-pressure ridge remains anchored over western Russia, with pressures near 1032 hectopascals. This high is maintaining cold, stable, and dry conditions across much of Eastern Europe, while also acting as a barrier that prevents milder Atlantic air from pushing too far east. The result is a classic battleground pattern where moist Atlantic systems collide with deeply entrenched cold air over central and eastern portions of the continent. Further south, a secondary low-pressure system near 997 hectopascals over the central Mediterranean is contributing to unsettled weather across Italy and the Balkans. This system is enhancing rainfall and in some cases thunderstorms, particularly along coastal and mountainous regions. As additional disturbances rotate through the Mediterranean, periods of rain and high-elevation snow will continue. As we look at snowfall potential through the 6th of February, the most extreme accumulations are expected across Scandinavia. Both major models highlight Norway and Sweden as primary targets for prolonged and intense snowfall. In Norway, especially across the western and mountainous regions, the GFS projects widespread totals exceeding 1 meter of snow, with localized amounts potentially surpassing 1.5 meters. These totals are driven by persistent onshore flow from the Atlantic, forcing moist air upslope into the Scandinavian mountains where it cools and condenses efficiently. The ECMWF supports this general scenario, though it shows slightly lower peak amounts, particularly across southern Scandinavia. Regardless of the exact totals, confidence is high that this will be a very snowy and disruptive period for much of Norway and Sweden. Farther east, a broad swath of Eastern Europe is expected to see significant snowfall as cold air remains locked in place. Western Russia, Belarus, Ukraine, and the Baltic states are all forecast to experience repeated snow events. Accumulations in this region are expected to range from roughly 25 to 60 centimeters over the 2-week period, with some localized pockets potentially exceeding 90 centimeters, especially deeper into the Russian interior. These snowfalls will be driven by weaker but frequent disturbances moving along the southern edge of the cold high-pressure system, allowing snow to accumulate steadily over time. In the Alpine region, confidence is also high for meaningful snowfall. Both the GFS and ECMWF show repeated snow events affecting the Alps, with totals generally in the 30 to 70 centimeter range across many locations. The Western Alps stand out as a potential hotspot, where the GFS suggests that totals could approach or even exceed 1 meter in favored areas. The ECMWF remains somewhat more conservative, but still supports a notable snowpack increase. This pattern will be particularly beneficial for high elevation areas, but it will also increase hazards related to travel and avalanche activity. Elsewhere across Europe, several additional regions are expected to see notable snow. The Scottish Highlands are forecast to receive moderate snowfall, with totals ranging from about 15 to 40 centimeters, especially during colder phases of incoming Atlantic systems. In southwestern Europe, the Pyrenees and the Cantabrian Mountains of northern Spain and southern France are expected to pick up between 20 and 50 centimeters of snow as moist Atlantic air interacts with colder air aloft. Iceland will also experience a very wintry period, with coastal regions seeing moderate snowfall and the interior highlands accumulating over 1 meter of snow. Precipitation totals through early February closely mirror the snowfall forecast, highlighting the intensity of this pattern. Along the Atlantic coast and across the British Isles, repeated storm systems will deliver very high rainfall amounts from Portugal northward through western France, the United Kingdom, Ireland, and into coastal Norway. Liquid equivalent precipitation totals of 80 to 200 millimeters are expected. In mountainous areas of western Norway, totals could reach as high as 350 millimeters, a testament to the strength and persistence of the onshore flow across Eastern Europe, where snowfall is expected to dominate. liquid precipitation equivalents are forecast to range from roughly 30 to 90 millimeters. While these values may seem lower compared to western regions, the cold temperatures mean that much of this moisture will fall as snow and accumulate efficiently on the ground. In the Mediterranean region, precipitation will be more variable but still impactful. Italy, the Balkans, and Greece are forecast to receive between 20 and 70 millimeters of rainfall from the current low-pressure system and subsequent disturbances. In mountainous areas, especially in the Apennines and parts of the Balkans, precipitation may fall as snow at higher elevations. Overall, Europe is entering a highly active and potentially disruptive weather period. Heavy snowfall across Scandinavia, Eastern Europe, and major mountain ranges is likely to cause significant travel disruptions, including road closures, flight delays, and rail impacts. In areas where snowfall is accompanied by strong winds, localized blizzard conditions are possible. In Western Europe and the British Isles, the primary concern will be flooding, especially in areas where soils are already saturated from previous rainfall. Rivers and streams may rise quickly during the heaviest precipitation events. Finally, with large amounts of fresh snow accumulating in a relatively short period, avalanche danger will increase substantially across all major mountain regions, including the Alps, the Pyrenees, and the Scandinavian mountains. Backcountry travel will become increasingly hazardous, and strict attention to local warnings will be essential. This pattern shows no immediate signs of breaking down, and confidence is growing that early February will remain highly active across much of Europe, with winter firmly in control.